All right, we have a quorum. We'll call the April board meeting to order for the Board of Supervisors of the Town of Liberty Grove. The scribe for this evening will note that all supervisors are present, in addition to the office assistant and treasurer. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming. If you have a cell phone, if you wouldn't mind putting it on vibrate or turning it off, that would be appreciated. And a reminder to the board to please speak into the microphones. Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, we have the minutes of the regular board meeting, excuse me, of March 18th. Are there any additions or corrections to those?
Hang on a second here. If you go to the second page, Plan Commission recommendation, about halfway down, there's a N missing. It says would ought, should be would not, I believe. Be line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, line 9.
Okay, anything else? If not, I'll move the approval with the noted ought to not.
I'll second that.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. And then we'd have the special board meeting of, excuse me, March 19th. And that would have been a combined meeting with the Finance Committee. If not, I'll move the approval of those minutes.
I'll second that.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Treasurer's report, Janet. Janet's doing double duty. Bud is on his way back from legislative days, so. Oh, I should have put that over there for you, sorry.
That's okay. Okay, in the municipal checking account, we began with a balance of $916,680.49. Transfer to checking and interest brought that balance to $786,720.50. In the money market account, we began with a balance of $577,461.52. After interest, that brought that balance to $577,553.28. In the checking account, we began with a balance of $324,287.53. The deposit and transfer, less FICA, state, payroll, and disbursements brought that balance to $248,286.06. In the utility district funds, there's $571,333 with a total in all town accounts at the end of March of $2,183,892.84.
Any questions anybody has? If not, I'll make a motion to approve the treasurer's report as presented.
I'll second that.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Then on to the payment of bills. Any questions there?
I have a question. Line 24 is for an airbag compressor. What exactly is an airbag compressor?
Good question. I would assume it has to do with the airbags on the vehicles. It's some way
A
inflates them.
compressor, the compressor item, that's gonna be a separate item. An airbag, a compressor,
Oh, I see
and
what you're
then
saying.
an airbag and a cover, my guess is. And I'm just guessing, cause
Mhm.
I didn't I didn't do these.
So the airbags go bad or something on the trucks? What?
This would be in the new truck.
Oh,
Wouldn't the new truck come with an airbag? I'm just questioning why we're
You're right.
spending $1,000 for airbags.
I know you have to wait for Bud to, he will be here if you want to hold off and
Well,
you want to come back to that?
can you,
no, I don't think we need to, but just, I'm curious.
Right.
I mean, I've had cars for a couple of years now, and I've never had to have them pumped or anything, the airbags.
Right.
Ah, but have you ever had a patrol truck?
Well, thank goodness.
Any other questions? All right, if not, I'll make a motion to approve the checks as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Next is public input. It's an opportunity for anybody here to address the board on any subject, or if you'd like to speak to an agendized subject, we'll get you down for that. Prior to that, I've got a couple things I would like to mention. In all probability, unless there's something dramatic happens between now and Tuesday night, this will be Supervisor Sforkert last night as a board member.
About time. Oh, sorry.
And I would like to present to him a certificate of appreciation. And this certificate is awarded to Franklin Forkert for 6 years of valuable service as a town supervisor for the town of Liberty Grove.
It's been a real pleasure to serve. I've learned a lot, and I hope it comes some good.
Thank you. And Frank, it was diligent, let me tell you, beyond belief, in meetings and attendance and searching things out. So thank you very much. It's really appreciated. The other thing is the annual meeting is a week from last night, and there is an open house scheduled here at 6 o'clock. Hopefully it'll be warm enough that we can have the truck bays doors open and people can come and see the equipment. And you have to notice Joe's workbench. It is immaculate. You walk in there and it's just perfect row of wrenches. So, the other thing is tomorrow morning at the Maritime Museum, the Door County North is being awarded a GEM grant for $17,000 for Uncork Summer, and I'd like to congratulate them on that. The town basically is kind of participating in that. We kind of provided the funds, they're going to pay us back for that. And I asked Supervisor Cavazos if he would attend in my absence. I can't be there. I'd like to be there, but I can't be there. And he's going to scoot down for that, so thank you and congratulations. Okay, anybody want to speak on any particular item?
My name is Tom Ashford, Northeast Asphalt, and I'd just like to reserve the right to speak on item 9 or answer any possible questions if you have any.
Thanks, Tom. Anybody else? Okay, if not, we'll then go right on to the Plan Commission recommendation of support for a conditional use permit. Nancy?
Yes, the Plan Commission heard this request last Wednesday night, and basically, just in a nutshell, the two properties that are currently owned by the property owner, who will also be building the residence, will be joined, and the residence basically straddles the two properties. And the county, for Liberty Grove, actually, maximum for a residence is 5,000 square feet. He would have been able, with those two properties, if he wanted to build a 5,000 square foot residence on each one. By straddling them and building one residence of just under 5,300 feet, the Plan Commission felt that that was a reasonable request. And there will be minimal removal of vegetation. He was asked that during the presentation. And it's a single-story residence. And we also asked if he was planning any decks or any expansion. He's set back farther from the high water mark than the 75 feet by about another 60 feet. So we felt that there would be minimal impact from the road and the water with the proper screening. We also felt that the size of the house was consistent and compatible with others in the area. There were some that were smaller in the area, but as some of our commissioners pointed out, there were also some very expansive houses in the area. So, in short, the Plan Commission unanimously recommended the board support the request.
Any questions anybody has? I'd entertain a motion to that effect.
Yeah, let me get the, I just want to get the
Sure.
address and everything right in the motion.
That's your retirement home, Frank.
Oh, way too much to take care of.
Okay. Construct.
1292.
Here we go. Okay, I would make a motion that the Liberty Grove Town Board send a letter of support for the request for a footprint of residence greater than 5,000 square feet for Kent Schaefer at 1292 Garrett Bay Road.
Is there a second?
I'll second. This is right by the
Discussion?
curves of Garrett.
Yes.
Road.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, right before the
Boat launch.
park, yeah.
Yeah.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
Who's second?
Lou did. Sorry. All right, consider Highway Committee recommendations to accept the Northeast Asphalt bid for the 2015 paving. Janet will get those bids up on the screen shortly. The recommendation coming from the Highway Committee is to award the bid to Northeast Asphalt, even though that bid came in a little higher. The specs called for 3 inches of paving. I believe the county came in at under that. I don't have the
That's
exact.
incorrect, John. They
Pardon?
bid 3 inches of paving.
That's not what came out in the Highway Committee when I was
It
there.
doesn't really matter how many tons it is. They bid 3 inches of paving. That's what the bid was asked for.
That's correct, and their tonnage was less than Northeast Asphalt. If you,
Doesn't really matter what the tonnage is, John.
Well, I'm not-
It's a 3-inch road.
I'm not going to get an argument on this, the recommendation coming from the Highway Committee, based on the fact that they felt that the tonnage indicated less than 3 inches,
Yeah, but
so.
that's immaterial at this point in time.
Questions anybody has?
I can say that John Ambrose, our attorney, says the most prudent course is always to accept the lowest bid.
Correct, and if you read beyond that,
Says, are there arguments in favor of selecting NEA? Are there?
well, it goes beyond that. It said if the bid was to have 3 inches asphalt put down,
That's what's been bid by the
and not
county.
on tonnage, but my figures show one of the roads would be less than 3 inches as bid in the tonnage, so. Tom is here and asked to speak on it. You want to go ahead and step to the microphone and?
Well, yeah, I mean, the bid was for 3 inch, and then if you read part of the bid specifications, it did require the contractor to go out and physically field measure the roads and take into account the paving radiuses and intersections to tie into these roads. I did a little analyzation of the county's numbers. I'm real confident in my measurements. If you did the math just on the length of the road on the bid documents by the width that was asked for, they probably have enough tons in, but they're not figuring radiuses, driveways. Scandia Road, that mathematics comes out actually to less asphalt than 3 inches. even on length times width. But that road also is shorter than what's specified on the miles. So unless you went out and actually field measured, I'm not gonna say that they're gonna short you. I'm sure they're gonna give you 3 inches. I don't wanna get into that debate. The question is, so, you know, they have a time and material not to exceed bid, which is fine. I mean, it helps you guys out, but me as a county resident as well, what happens when they go over? I mean, they are gonna go over in this project, and where does that money get applied? Do you get billed that somewhere else in the future that you don't know about? I don't know, I'm just speculating. So, just raising those questions. I'm concerned as a taxpayer of this county, what happens when the county goes over or does not bid a large enough quantity or a large enough dollar amount? Where does that money get hid? Where does it get buried? Who pays the bill? I can answer any questions. I'm just pointing
Okay.
out a few things that I've noticed from looking at it. So if you have any questions of me, feel free to
Anybody
shoot.
here?
Yeah, I'd like to comment. I'll let other people comment, but go ahead.
Oh, no, so Tom, am I understanding you saying that according to your measurements, they're more precise than what you assumed the county had done, and your tonnage, in order to meet the spec of the 3 inches, and all of what you require in terms of aprons and driveways and
Yep.
all that, is why your bid came in that way?
Correct.
Have you, are you often in competition with the DC Highway?
Yeah, just about every municipal contract we are, you know, that goes out for bids, we are in
And
competition, yes.
Is it usually the case where,
No, I mean, mistakes are made. I mean, I've seen history up here of them not physically field measuring. I've seen histories at bids where they don't maybe necessarily, and again, I can only speculate, based on math that I did, and I know the formula of calculating tons, I would guesstimate that they took, if I was to figure out why their tonnage is less, that they took the measurements that were given to them on the bid form, and they disregarded the note on the bid spec that says you should go out and field verify the measurements. So they used those measurements of length and width, not taking into account radiuses or intersections. Their tonnage comes out close to 3 inches then, yes.
but if there's a not to exceed, wouldn't that be that the number of dollars would be what is in the contract? But would the difference in terms of what they need be made up by having perhaps thinner asphalt laid down than 3 inches, or somehow or other to meet the dollar figure that they gave? They'd have to cut corners, so to speak?
Well, again, I can only speculate. I mean, I think they would probably give you 3 inches if you asked for 3 inches. But unless you got certified weight tickets that you got from them to verify that their tonnages are, and you actually went out and field measured yourself, or got the accurate measurements of the roads, you would never know until you did that math calculation at the end and after your road is bid if you had the proper amount or not.
Thank you.
I mean, the same stands true for me. I mean, I have all my asphalt I need in this job. Me, if I short figured it, I would have to cover those costs. The point I guess I had maybe before is if the county short figure, who covers those costs? I know you as a town aren't gonna see that bill directly, but we all as taxpayers are gonna pay that bill somewhere.
That's one option we do have, is to ask for certified tonnage. You know, they weigh the trucks when they leave. Hugh, you want to make a comment?
Sure, I'd be delighted to. Thank you. And I think, Tom, that there's no argument over Scandia Road, that you win Scandia Road simply because the county had to be, what?
Correct.
20,000 less than you.
They would have to be with, greater than 10% less because of the trip.
So really
Funding.
what we're talking about is the pavement of Settlement and Garrett Bay Road. The difference, if you take just the bid is the county's $7,300 less than you. When you bid a road, if you bid a 3-inch road and the length that's there and the width that's there, that's what you're bidding. You're not bidding tons of asphalt. And it's too bad that Bud isn't here, because he reviewed all the tonnage with Mr. Kaloji, and he felt there was an adequate amount of asphalt to do the job. And I'm sorry I'm sitting here as a taxpayer, and that's $7,300 we can spend better someplace else. I like you, I've worked with you for years, you know that. And you've come to my office, we've talked, you've given me logical arguments for and against the county. And at this instance, I just think the county has come in with a bid, and John Kaloji will provide that. And he also said he could be there within 4 or 5 days and get everything done before Memorial Day. I think the town would be not served well if we don't take the low bid, because it's a bid for a 3-inch thick road at a certain width and a certain length. It's pretty plain and simple. If they'd asked for bids of asphalt, that's a whole different deal. So I will not support the recommendation of the Highway Committee. I will certainly vote to award you the Scandia Road, which you have won legitimately. The other 2 roads, the county has won.
So, I mean, just to come back at your comment, if that's the case on future bids, I could take 10 pounds less of asphalt and not give you what you're asking for and be the low bid.
Well, that's not it. The bid is for a 3-inch road.
He's not giving you a 3-inch road.
Hold it, don't say that. You can't
Oh,
justify
that's-
that. He's bid a 3-inch
Okay.
road. That's what the specs call for.
Tom, I think you indicated at the Highway Committee meeting you would be in May as well.
Yes, we would be done before Memorial Day as well,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
And, you know, the town has the right to choose what's in their best interest or what they see would be in their best interest. And we have proven that we are proficient in what we do, and we come and do the projects when we say we're gonna do them. And we complete them when we say we're gonna do them. So, I mean, just on past relationship, if you think that's enough of the quality of work that we've been doing for you, that is enough for you guys to award us the higher bid, so.
Okay, any other comments, questions anybody has? Frank?
I was at the Highway Committee meeting, and I think the committee did a good job, and I will support the committee.
Okay. All right, any other questions anybody has?
Why don't we take this one at a time? I mean, a road, the Scandia Road, obviously, Northeast Asphalt will get.
What's the board's pleasure? Want to do them all at once, individually?
I'd like to see it done all at once.
Well, Frank, that's irresponsible.
I don't think I'm irresponsible.
Okay.
think
I
you
do.
are.
I think you're very
Gentlemen,
irresponsible.
gentlemen,
$7,000 will go a long way towards other projects.
anybody else have a preference? I'll make a motion to accept the recommendations of the Highway Committee to award the bids to our Northeast Asphalt. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second? Further discussion?
I'll read again what the attorney says. The most prudent course is to always accept the lowest bid.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay?
Motion carries 4-1. Okay, going on. Consider recommendation on county assessor proposal. Janet, you've got information on this? Everybody's got a copy of that, right?
I just have some general information, I don't have the specifics on it. They are considering going to a county assessor rather than a municipal assessor. And the cost then would come under the county's budget rather than our own. So, I personally don't think that would benefit us at all, is to have the county assessing the entire county.
I know the Wisconsin Towns Association is very much against it.
Are we to send it doesn't really say here as to what they would like to have us do.
Give me my pen.
I suppose we could send a letter of support to not have the counties take it over.
I think, isn't that what they want us to do?
It's in the budget, the governor's budget.
So if we don't want to see that happen, we should be contacting,
Cost us a ton of money.
yeah, yes, that's for sure. Frank?
Having been involved with the assessing process and worked with two different assessors, assessing is a very personal thing for each individual property owner in the town. And with a local town of ours, which is worth nearly $1 billion, this means more to our town than any other town in the county. I think it's very important that we have the personal attention of the firm that does our assessing now. I think it would be a mistake to turn that over to the county. Despite our evaluation, we still only have one vote on the county board. And I think the county can very easily abuse the situation as regards to assessments. I think it's much more efficient to have an office in our own town and somebody that has open hours here where people can come. I can see a lot of things that would go the wrong way.
Okay, anybody else?
I'd just like to comment about Frank. I sort of agree with him, but Frank, the Liberty Grove has 3 votes at the county. It has the Ward 3, which I believe is the northern half of Liberty Grove. It has the one that's connected with Sister Bay, and the one that I was on, which is combination with Liberty Grove and Bailey's Harbor.
Okay, any other comments anybody has?
I'd like to respond to that, Hugh.
Sure, go ahead, Frank.
And I'm not trying to be contentious, but I don't have much to say about it in my district because most of the people that elect the guy from Washington Island are the Washington Island people, not the Liberty Grove people. I couldn't run for the town, for the county board position and get all the votes from Washington Island. I considered it at one point. Same thing with Bailey's Harbor. That's a split vote. We don't ever see any of the Bailey's Harbor people here telling us what's going on at the town board. We don't ever see anybody from Washington Island except on one or maybe 2 occasions to let us know what they're thinking, and they certainly have come to ask us what we think about what goes on in the county board. As far as I'm concerned, from watching for 45 years, the town of Liberty Grove has been mistreated by the county board.
Well, I'd like to take exception to
Oh,
one thing
okay,
you said.
let's-
No, I'd like to do this, you know.
Look,
Mr.
I'd
City
like to.
came here.
gentlemen,
Mr. City
enough.
came here.
Hey, enough.
Allow me,
There-
please, John. Mr.
No,
City, John.
that's it, please.
Okay.
Let's stop this, okay?
Well, it's,
I'll
he's
make a
giving
motion.
it bad information.
I'll make a motion that we contact our state representatives that the town of Liberty Grove is opposed to the unfounded county assessment proposal.
I'll second that.
Discussion. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Bud, we had a question on the airbag compressor. That item. This guy. This, what's
It's
the one?
airbag for the air suspension system.
Oh, so it's not for a wreck kind of airbag, it's for suspension airbag.
It's the, yeah, they, on the 071, the airbag blew out or went to pieces, so it was it's a replacement for the air assist bags on the back of the truck, on the axle.
Okay,
Okay.
All right.
Would you allow me to ask Bud a question about going back to the asphalt?
sure,
issues?
go ahead.
Bud, and it's my understanding you reviewed with Mr. Kaloji the bids recently?
What? What?
Did you talk with Mr. Kaloji about the bids for the,
Yeah, he called on Monday morning, I believe.
Did you review the amount of tonnage of asphalt? Was it found adequate?
When I was talking to him, I told him, when I talked to him, I said, I don't have all my calculations in front of me. We went over some of the numbers, and we were going over what was presented, and I had calculated out earlier that with the tonnage that was calculated for all three roads, one road came up short, and that was Garrett Bay. It was less, according to my calculations, it was less than 3 inches. John disputed that, saying, well, you can calculate that in many ways. And I said, okay, John, I said, I don't have this stuff in front of me. I said, I'd have to get back to him and find my calculations, which we didn't do. He said he had to go to legislative days Tuesday, so he wouldn't be available.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, going on to Ellison Bay Harbor, consider parks and property recommendations. Gary and Lou, I guess. Who wants to?
We have a fairly detailed proposal from Bodwin. And and each item is broken down with costs. Does everybody have that?
Yeah, it's in here someplace.
Is it in the packet? I don't think so. No. So we should have had that. The long and the short of it is that, not getting into the discussion of whether the town should have a harbor for public use or that bigger question. The question before the Parks and Property Committee, and then Gary will elaborate, I'm sure, and the question now before the town board has to do with the very obvious fact that the harbor is in great disrepair. Part of the complication in deciding from the Parks and Property Committee and now the town board's view has to do with the fact that some of the items that are listed in Bodwin's proposal, items 2 and 3, which happen to do with, are also related to the ongoing dispute we have with a contractor, the town has, with a contractor, as to who's responsible for the damage to those portions of the harbor. Bud, in talking with our insurer, has gotten the green light from the insurer to repair the 2 items on Bodwin's list. In other words, the funding for that is coming from the insurance as opposed to from the town's coffers. The other items that are there, the other items, a total of which could be well over $250,000, are not necessarily items that need to be done as quickly as the 2 that are being covered by insurance. Because those pose dangers and liability, obviously, to the town for people who are walking on those piers and things. The Parks and Property Committee has basically said then, what we'll do is postpone the bigger items that are not covered by insurance, discuss those in the budget discussions for 2016, and have an opportunity with specific plans, both from Bodwin and maybe others, an opportunity to apply for grants to boating associations and the DNR, and maybe one other agency, that would assist with funding those proposals. I don't have the language of the specific motions before the town, but I assume that you do, Bud, no? Or Gary does?
No, I don't.
No.
I don't have those in front of me, no. It was in the notes from Parks and Property from Tuesday, and I haven't written those up yet, but basically what the motions were, that's kind of summarized here under A, B, and C, and D and E. first thing to do is decide about replacing the steel sheeting with cribbing, as the committee had decided, and then authorize Bodwin to draw biddable plans for the harbor damage, so that can be put out for bids, and then we can proceed with the work. And then the following motion was to replace the steel sheeting on the east wall with cribbing for mitigating the wave action that comes in when you get a northwest blow in there, because it's like a billiard table with the waves going back and forth. And secondly, for aesthetics, it'll kind of match up with the harbor to the south and be a little nicer looking. So then we would authorize Bodwin to draw plans for that, so we can go ahead and apply to the various agencies, like Lou mentioned, for any grant funding that might be available. And then the last motion that was made was to install water line from the well at Wills Park, mainly at this point for washing off foreign matter from boats when they come out of the water. This would all be done by Bodwin.
Somebody want to make a comment in reference to the cribbing instead of steel sheeting?
With the steel cribbing, the comment, I believe, from the insurance company was to make the fix permanent, not do a Band-Aid approach. So Frank might want to add something. We went down there again today, and we walked the main walkway, which is one of the items that'll be replaced by the insurance money. And we also took a look at the southeast corner, which is the part of the parking lot that's already started to cave in. It started last year. Well, it's caving in even more now. And the sheet piling is actually at about a 30-degree angle out from the side. I mean, it's bowed out as the water seeps into the fill and pushes it down, it just pushes the sheet piling out. So with the insurance fund, we can take and replace that sheet steel and replace the main walkway, which is sitting on 3 pilings. We decided after discussion to go with the cribbing because it would match up with what Heritage Harbor has, and aesthetically it would look very good. It also would stop wave action, which was what Frank was pointed out. And Bodwin Associates had originally recommended putting in riprap. But to do that, the angle of the riprap, that's the rock, would take and force us to extend our docks out 12 more feet. And that would put them right in the, basically in the middle of our marina for a 20, 25-foot dock. So we decided to go with the cribbing, which would be a flat surface, but it would reduce the wave patterns coming into the marina. And that would be consistent with what we're already have budgeted for in terms of the cement work, for the pedestals, for electrical and everything else that's gonna go into that east wall. So basically, that's why we made the decision to go with the cribbing. So,
I have a question on that. Does anybody know, is replacing the sheeting with the cribbing, is that how that's gonna change the cost of that? Because there's already been paperwork turned into the insurance company.
I got the impression from talking to Steve that there was not a significant difference in
It was
cost.
comparable. The
Okay.
question in the insurance company's mind was, as Gary already pointed out, they don't want a Band-Aid. They want this to be fixed.
No, they want to fix, not a repair.
Right.
Yeah.
They
But-
want it fixed.
Right.
And they agreed that the cribbing would be sufficient, as sufficient as the steel sheeting to repair it.
Who's they?
The insurer.
They were
The
questioned
insurer.
on that?
Pardon?
They were questioned on that very particular issue?
Steve Parent had asked, yeah, that was the the gist of the meeting yesterday, where Steve said that they agreed that the cribbing would be fine instead of the sheeting as a sufficient repair to fix it, a fix.
Okay, but I'm talking, is it going to mean different dollars? Yes, I've already turned over paperwork to the insurance company with an estimate
Right.
of what it's gonna cost using sheeting. Now, if putting in cribbing is going to cost a lot more,
No,
insurance company's gonna need to know this first.
it's actually less.
Okay,
And one of the things that has been added on, which we think, as a committee, and Bud agreed as well, and Steve agreed as well, that motion, in the revised agenda, which Bud put out yesterday then, the C, A and C go together. Replace the steel sheeting with cribbing on the southeast wall was added. The insurance company is basically looking at C, which is replacing steel sheeting on the east wall with cribbing. But at Frank's suggestion, and it makes all sense both aesthetically and functionally, there's a little bit of the edge that would be called the southeast wall, that could also then, and with the contractors out there, and it's really contiguous, to do the whole thing, basically. So A and C are joined, A being what was added yesterday at the Parks and Property Committee. And we think the insurer will cover just that one project, so to speak, rather than looking at it as two. So that's A and C. B has to do with the grant monies. In order to get the grant monies, in order for the Budget and Finance Committee, for the Finance Committee to determine whether we want to go ahead as a town to repair it, we need to know what the costs are going to be. That's what B is. Authorize Bodwin to draw biddable plans for the harbor damage. And then D is involving that continuing problem on Cedar Shore and the drainage. And rather than have that drain right into the bay, the way it's been, the ideal solution would be to have it go through some ponds and retentions. And there would also be the opportunity for grant money. So the bids for B and D are to authorize Bodwin to draw plans and nothing more, for the Finance Committee to determine, and then for the town to submit to the various granting authorities for assistance with those as well.
I think Mr. Parent indicated that the cost, excuse me, of authorizing him to draw biddable plans and plans for the granting and bidding would probably be covered by what he's already done. Am I correct?
Right.
Yeah, okay. And how about the water line?
Well, the water line is in the budget for this year already. The proposal is to take and run a line now, well, before we start blacktopping, from the capped well that's in Wills Park directly across to where the dock person's little house is. That would give us a faucet there for the fishermen to clean out their boxes, spray down the bottom of their boats, et cetera, which is not required, but there's already signage down there from the DNR recommending that it be done. That will also then allow us, in terms of the further expansion, to take and run a water line to the new pedestals that are going in. There's already a 4-inch line under the concrete, and it would be just a matter of running a pipe down that and hooking it up to the pedestals.
Talk about a 4-inch conduit.
Right, through the current conduit.
Do,
I don't think there's one in there now. I'd have to talk to I don't think Action Electric did anything as far as the plumbing goes.
do we know, if memory serves me correct, that well runs in the spring? So
Yeah,
that
it
it has
artesians
not
in the
been filled
spring.
with concrete?
And that's why we ended up capping it.
Okay, it's not abandoned, it's just
No,
strictly
as
capped.
far as we know, it's not abandoned. I mean, we're still gonna have to have it tested to make sure it's potable water. It was mentioned, you know, how deep is the well? That is something that'll have to be determined too. And as Frank pointed out this morning, we're gonna have to have electric to the well for the pump. Blowing the line out in the fall will not be an issue. But, I don't know who put it in, but there's a box down there that would be enough to put power into a subdivision. It's like 3 feet by 5 feet. And there's, you know, I don't know. And they put a brand-new pole on the corner with a brand-new transformer. That's been done in the last 2-3 weeks.
Have we got any record on that well?
I haven't looked it up. I would think the DNR has got something.
The only concern that Parks and Property had about the well, the water line for the well, had to do with the potential of the possibility of having the drainage that we just talked about for Cedar Shore. The drainage line, which is the preferable way to go from an ecological point of view, that the drainage line, which would come afterwards if the well line were put in, might interfere with it, and the assurance we got from the town and from the engineer had to do with the fact that there would be careful consideration given to where both would be placed, that we wouldn't have to then say, oh, we put the well line in, now we have to be able to reroute it because we're putting the drainage in, so that would be
The
a concern.
retention area you're talking about.
Exactly, yeah. It would be laid out first.
Is that all cobble down there, bud? Can you dig easily?
There's gonna be a bunch of it there, yeah, for sure. Beach stone. The other thing to consider, did you tell them about moving the stormwater pipe to the north of the Cedar?
Yeah, that's what Lou mentioned.
Okay.
And again, that would be something that would be considered in the finance committee's decisions for the 2016 budget.
So just to clarify that stormwater pipe, that would go on the north side of those cedars?
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Ideally, and that all
Ideally.
has to do with whether the town wants to pay for that
Right.
option as well, as opposed to the option of just making it drain right into the bay.
Frank?
I would like to speak to wave reflectivity and the problems we have
Nancy.
in that harbor.
Microphone.
I'd like to speak to wave reflectivity and the problems we have in our side of the harbor. When we have a good, strong west wind down there, the waves come right into the open harbor without a breakwater in front of it. And when it hits the steel at the east end of our harbor, that steel is curved in such a way that it brings the waves back out against the waves that are coming in. Every time a 2-foot wave comes in and a 2-foot wave hits the steel and comes back out at 2 feet, you get a peak within the harbor when those two waves meet, and that can easily go up to 3 feet or 50% more than the size of the waves coming in. Some of us have been around for a while, have watched this, and I was down in there in a good westerly storm last fall before the ice came in. The harbor that they have from Bayshore, the Heritage Harbor, was calmer because it's entirely lined on the south side with cribbage. The logs are about this wide, and between each logs, the waves can go in, and behind it, there are rocks that won't come out through the cracks. So the waves go into the breakwater, a crib breakwater, and then come out slowly, so you don't get the full reflectivity that you get off of a sheet of steel. And we discussed this openly with the committee, and Steve Bodwin was there, and he felt as though it would be a calmer harbor too if we did that east wall at some future time instead of the steel. The steel that went in there was put in, I believe, Bud, what, about 1987, 89?
A couple years earlier than that, 86, 85.
85, 86, okay. It's been there 30 years and it's rotted out because of the water coming from the streets, going down through there and getting behind the steel and rotting it from behind, plus the wave action and from the front side of the steel. Experience of those that have owned crib docks are that the cribs below the water line will last infinitely. Where the water goes up and down, you're gonna get a minimum of 25 years and many times 35, even to 50 years, particularly when you use cedar. And above the water line, which varies about 6 feet, those docks are solid. So I think it's as good an investment. The experience I think that Bodwin has had and that I've had is that crib docks are slightly less expensive than steel docks.
Okay, anybody else?
Happy to answer any questions.
Well, I'll make a motion,
I figured that's what you were doing, writing.
yeah, I'll break it down. A motion to replace the steel sheeting with cribbing on the east and adjoining southeast walls of the harbor as authorized by the town's insurance carrier.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
I would like to add that I believe the insurance, and please second guess me on this, Gary and Lou, is that they're going to lift off the steel and the deck on the pier that goes out to the west and take out the cribs that are not stable and are tilting over and sliding into the deeper Heritage Harbor. And they're gonna replace that with steel I-beams going down into solid matter down below. I don't know whether it's stone or whether it's beach stone or whatever's down below the sand, which you see around the steel cribs right now.
Right there.
And then they're gonna take the steel deck and put it back out and the wood back out there that was there now, so.
The I-beams will have anchors on the bottom of them, which will go in, so almost like drill into the, whatever's underneath there, bedrock, beach stone, whatever.
Okay,
Just to clarify now, the insurance only pertains to the southeast portion.
right,
The work that this
right,
motion is for.
right.
Does that include the re-asphalting of the parking up there and all that sort of stuff?
No.
No, not at this time. We've taken, well,
I'm talking about just right in the immediate area there.
no,
So that would just be like you would walk over gravel for a while there or something?
Yeah. If the town were to go ahead next year or the following year and replace the sheeting on the, I'm gonna say the east side with cribbing, the parking lot's gonna get torn up big time, because there's that cement walk there, plus the parking lot and asphalt, so.
and that's gonna end up all being torn up anyway once they decide to attack the sewer line.
Yeah, right, yeah,
There's money in the budget for the sewer.
right,
The money for Cedar Shore Road has been transferred to Garrett Bay Road.
right. Okay, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Lou?
All right, a motion then to authorize Bodwin to draw up biddable plans for one, harbor damage in Ellison Bay Marina, and two, plans for alternative stormwater repairs where such expense is to the town is already included in the work performed by Bodwin.
I'll second. Discussion?
Just real quickly, Lou, the payment is authorized, but we've already paid Bodwin, or?
Well, this work, I'm assuming, has been what he was talking about.
Right.
About, right, all those proposals that he had done.
He said there was money left,
Yeah.
so I'm assuming that,
I'm not sure we've been billed for all of it yet, but he felt that the billing would come in under what was budgeted for it.
Yeah.
And that's the 10% shown on the sheets for the different?
No,
I don't think so.
No.
Okay.
I don't know of any 10%. No, it was what we worked with at the committee level yesterday.
Okay,
Oh, I see what you said, engineering, staking and inspection in the,
10%.
yeah, I'm assuming that's where it's coming from. That's his fee. yeah.
All right.
go ahead.
Lou, can I ask you, item C, replace steel sheeting in the east wall with cribbing, is he gonna give us a plan for that so we can go after grants?
Yes.
Was that included in your motion?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was A and C, the
Okay,
motion
already,
there was that.
okay,
yeah.
very good.
Any other discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
opposed, motion is carried. Lou?
And then finally, a motion to install the water line from the current well at Wills Park before any other work is done. An item that is already included in the 2015 town budget.
I'll second that.
Discussion. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. Launch passes. Janet,
There are no
operator licenses.
There are two. One is for a Christina Garther, and the other is for John Burnett. Both of them are going to be working at Island Orchard Cider. And, there was nothing that came up under Wisconsin courts.
Okay. I'll move the approval of the two license applications. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Correspondence. We should have moved that to the top of the agenda when you were absent.
well, I'll do that next time.
I think you only have to go down to the Wisconsin Towns.
Okay, we have the Library Commission annual financial audit as delivered by Frank. Further analysis of the countywide assessment proposal detailing what it involves and costs formulated by Associated Appraisal. How far do I go? This far?
No, it's in town.
Okay. We have a number of findings of fact for managed forest land. We had some transfers from Scheckler to Scheckler within the family, apparently. And another one from Wayne Log Crafters to DRRE Holdings LLC out of Luxembourg.
Is that our buddy?
Yeah.
And that's in care of Dale Roberts of Luxembourg, and there's two of those for the two parcels down here on Old Stage Lane. Correspondence from Mike Walker regarding parcels that are visually disturbing to him. And I believe the board members each have a copy of that.
Could I ask a question about that? I read that, and Mike indicates that there's some sort of chemicals or something at the gas station that maybe are pollution. Is there,
Gus Clinkies.
Yeah, at Gus Clinky's? I didn't,
It says that the Clinky Garage contains a quantity of literal hazardous waste. I don't know what that's about.
Sure. We probably should put this on the agenda for May.
You wanna wait till then?
Or you want to make a comment about Gus Klenke's
I could
literal?
I could tell you what's in the building.
Sure.
Okay. When the Historical Society was founded in 1999, our first project was to stabilize Gus Klinke's garage. A lot of people, including the coyote, thought we should just let the damn thing fall down. So, but anyway, we removed everything from the building. We had a fundraiser, a lot of people put money towards stabilizing the building. Jim Grassi came in and stabilized the building gratis. TNT Roofing came in, put a brand-new roof on it. At that time, Scott offered to give us the building gratis. All we had to do was take it. So we thought, well, that was really cool. Except when we brought the EPA in to take a look at that corner with what's been dumped there over the course of the years behind the building in terms of oil. The gas tanks have been removed, but the lift inside the garage is still intact. And in the back lean-to is where Gus serviced his batteries. So we had somebody look at this, so it's safe, okay? There are two 50-gallon glass jars full of
Hydrochloric acid?
yes, hydrochloric acid that are sitting there. And nothing's been touched in that back section. The estimate that we got from the EPA for the Historical Society to clean up the site before we even stuck a shovel in the dirt was $100,000. Needless to say, we decided not to take possession of the property. But we did go ahead and stabilize it, had it repainted, new roof, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And now it needs to be painted again, but the acid, the hazardous waste that Michael's talking about is that acid that's in the back room. And any oil, I mean, Gus had 50-gallon drums of oil in the back there between the old Birch Creek and the garage. And my understanding is that they were continually overflowing onto the ground. So, I mean, which is a common occurrence with any old gas stations. So needless to say, I read with a lot of enthusiasm what Michael wrote. I'd love very much to take and get one of the old standard signs and a couple pumps and blah, blah, blah. But that would push it up around 200 grand to take and clean it up and then go out and get the antiques besides, I mean, the garage is full of antiques. You know, so, and I can imagine that the people that were going to go in there for a bicycle repair shop probably were introduced to what was there and decided to take their business elsewhere. So basically that's what's in the building that Michael's talking about. And as long as it stays contained and nobody touches it, everything is fine. But whoever, at some point in time, Scott is going to have a horrendous bill on his hands. So basically, that's where it's at.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just make a quick
Sure.
comment? Oftentimes, what happens is Scott or the other owner, whoever owns the parcels, quit paying the taxes on the property and actually abandon it. And then the county ends up owning the properties by default. A good example would be across from Hardee's there, there used to be a gas, in Sturgeon Bay now, used to be a gas station there. It's now a fruit stand, because that was a gasoline station that was abandoned for taxes. The county went in with the EPA and aerated all the ground underneath it. Ironically, went up for bids, and the same people who owned it before bought it back, but it was clean. Okay.
Mr. Chair, are you saying that Mike Walker's would be on next month's agenda?
Would you like to have it placed there? We have a couple outstanding issues there.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, yep. More correspondence.
Door County Economic Development Corporation Annual Investors Luncheon, Wednesday, April 29th, at Stone Harbor Resort and Conference Center. We have a form for reservations and payment. Otis Elevator has performed preventive maintenance on the elevator at the North Station. We are invited to join the celebration of Door Peninsula Coastal Wetlands, now designated a wetland of international importance, Friday, May 22nd, 2015, at Maxwellton Braes Lodge, Bailey's Harbor. Join us for an evening of celebration of our world-class wetlands. Doesn't really say where they are, but they, this event is part of the 13th Annual Festival of Nature. And what's interesting here is this comes from this Ramsar partner recognition. And this Ramsar thing started in Iran, Ramsar, Iran, several years ago. Door County Climate Change Forum, May 9th, 2015, at Stone Harbor Resort. Notice from planning that the whaling conditional use is approved, will not be issued until the property is rezoned and the parcels are joined. Along those lines, the Board of Adjustment met last night and approved the Maloney variance out on South Appleport. And I left before the final vote, but I'm assuming they approved the Barnes variance on the Beach Road, which they removed almost 5,000 square feet of asphalt and replaced it with dirt. There was one letter against it,
Really?
and who do you think it came from?
The neighbor.
The DNR. of all people. Lars asked me if I wanted to, had a comment on the letter. I said, yes, I do, but I'm not gonna say it. 2015 Town Officials Workshops, looks like it's May 5th, that's cut off on this printout. New officials and continuing officials, some topics on the open meetings law, fundamentals of town road funding and operations for beginners, and then ordinances, leadership, town road operations for the continuing officials, May 5th in Green Bay, plus there's some other places too. Okay.
Okay.
That's it.
We are going to go into a closed session, and I'm not really sure how long it's gonna last. But I'd hate to have those of you who have come out on a beautiful spring evening to miss our rules for the evening. I have two of them. And these are an honor and a thank you to Supervisor Forkert. The first rule is number 35, Dwayne Allman, a musician. Just rock on and have you a good time.
Thank you.
I shall.
And Rule 608 comes from, I believe it's Meister Eckhart, a German mystic. If the only prayer you said in life was thank you, that would suffice. Thank you, Frank.
You're welcome.
All right, I move that we adjourn the closed session per statute 19.85, parent 1 and E, deliberating, negotiating purchase of public properties, investing public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive bargaining reasons require a closed session. This has to do with the Grandview acquisition, Raleigh's Bay easement, treatment plant ownership, and the tower agreement with Door County Broadband at the town quarry. Is there a second? Roll call, please.
Mulligan,
Aye.
Orkert,
Aye.
Goss. Galatzos.
Aye.
Lowry,
Aye.
carries 5-0.
Okay. We may be back.